What is up, my thrifty friends? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess Shop. Today's video, we are going over 10 brands that I am stepping away from in 2024. It's sad because some of these brands have been really good money makers for me in the past, but they're just not giving me the return that they used to. Some of this may be rising cost of goods, some of it is market saturation, some of it is just the value of them is dropping. We're gonna jump into these, and I think a lot of these brands are ones that in previous years you have probably had on your BOLO list as well. If you are new to my channel, I am a Canadian and US reseller on the app called Poshmark. So what I do is I source and thrift clothing. I go to thrift stores, buy, sell trades, secondhand, consignments. I used to go to the bins. I know some people have garage sales, estate sales. There's so many ways you can get inventory and sell it online to make a profit. It's a side hustle for me that's turned into a pretty profitable business. Okay, so let's just jump into these brands. Now, these are solely based on my own experience, looking at the sales for the last 6 to 8 months, looking at the different brands I've sold, where did I see profits on them in the last year, and comparing it to previous years. I still always recommend that if you come across these items that you look up what they're selling for. You may come across a very unique or rare item or a color that everyone's looking for, and there can still be value in these. I'm just generalizing these brands. First brand that I kind of am sad about, but have been disappointed a few times in the last 2 months, and the brand is Freebird. I'm going to pop a little label up here as well so you can see what it looks like. Now, this brand I used to drool for. It was such a sought after brand, but recently I find I'm sitting on them longer. The value has been dropping. I don't know if it's a market saturation, but they're just not as desirable, I think, as they used to be. So for those reasons, also having a higher cost of goods, a lot of my thrift stores and consignment stores are marking up that brand. I'm probably going to be stepping away from it and just not picking it up as much. I have a Freebird pair of boots, ankle booties, that I've been holding on to, and I've had them for over 6 months. I also just sold a pair of sandals recently, like really nice lace-up ones, and yeah, they just didn't sell for what I thought they would. So for that reason, I'm going to be much more cautious with what I'm grabbing from this brand. Number 2 on my list is HarleyDavidson. And I don't know if you guys remember, but in the pandemic, HarleyDavidson was the brand that everyone was trying to find. It didn't matter if it was vintage, if it was current, like you could just sell it. I would pick up shoes, boots, jackets, t-shirts, like vintage shirts, modern long sleeves, bedazzled things, and everything would sell really quickly for a good value. Now, I think that season has passed. So it's not that I don't think HarleyDavidson can't sell. I do think that there's a niche of people that are still buying it, that are into the moto lifestyle, but I don't think it's trending in the young people as much anymore. I have noticed that my sales have really slowed down for them. Before, they used to sell within like 2 or 3 weeks, and now I have a couple items that I've had for months, like I don't even know, 6 months probably. For that reason, because I'm holding on to the inventory too long and the average sale price has been dropping, I'm not going to be picking this brand up in 2024. Number 3 on my list, and I've heard other people talking that they're dropping this brand as well, and it's Lafayette 148 New York. And this was a brand, again, like 3 or 4 years ago, really coveted. Everyone was looking for it. It is a designer brand that is kind of, to me, it reminds me of like expensive workwear. It's pretty basic. It does look like office wear to me most of the time, but very expensive. Like their white blouses are $350 to $500. Their blazers are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. They're just not moving the same way. I should have listened. I remember someone saying this a couple months ago that they no longer were picking them up. And I was like, no, I'm going to try and sell these. I picked up 3 tops at a consignment store. I paid up for them. And I think I'm sitting on still 2 out of the 3. And the first one that sold, I didn't make very much profit on them. They're also bigger sizes, which I was like, I've heard Lafayette does really well with the larger sizes. I don't know. I can't sell these tops for $40. Like, I'm just at a loss with them. And for that reason, I am walking away from this brand. The only way I will pick up Lafayette is if I find it for like $5 at the thrift store. But I will not be going to the buy, sell trades or consignments and picking it up anymore in 2024, which is sad because it's still a fabulous brand. It's still excellent quality. I think there's just a little bit of market saturation for resale right now. All right, number 4 on my list is Fry. And before you jump in and you're like, what? I'm still grabbing Fry. Fry still holds good value. It's still selling well. I agree. I do think there are certain styles that do very well, but I also feel like the general value of them compared to what they were, say, 2 or 3 years ago, has come down a lot. And I think if you're picking them up, unless they're like a really coveted style or a really hard to find style, you're going to end up sitting on it. I have a couple that I've sat on for months, and I did have a new with tags pair that sold, I think, for like 110 in the US. But again, that's a disappointing one. I was expecting over 150 for those, and I think it's just the value isn't there from where it was. So if you pay up for Fry, I would be comp searching what you are picking up to make sure that that profit margin is going to meet what you're hoping for. And of course, like if you go to the bins and you have access to all this stuff for like $2 or $3, I mean, it's pretty easy to pick it up. You have minimal costs involved. If you do sourcing like I do through thrift stores, buy, sell trades, and consignments, you really have to be cautious right now with the inventory you're picking up. And Fry is one of those brands that I would say I leave 2 to 3 pairs at where I source every time I go out, because what they are charging for them and what I could potentially make just doesn't leave enough room once, Posh fees come out, shipping discount comes out. Yeah, I'm just not risking it and potentially sitting on it for months. So I'm saying it, Fry is on my list, and I should have said this last year. Number 5 on the list is NYX. This brand used to fetch me like $35 to $50. I am not seeing those sales anymore. The odd time I will get like a $40 or like $38 sale on them, but I find I'm just sitting on them a lot now, and they're not moving how they used to. I feel like there's kind of been a steady decline on them in the last year. And also my cost of goods, like Value Village raised the price on them. They're like $19.99 now. If I'm selling them for $35 or $38, there's just not enough profit there for me. But I think what happened is the brand really blew up during the pandemic. A lot of people were trying NYX. I think they were running some pretty aggressive sales as well. And now it's been like a couple years and all those items are flooding back into the market. So market saturation and resale, cost of goods for me is going up, and the value has been declining. As soon as the market gets really saturated with a certain brand, you'll start to see the value start to decline because you're competing with so many people trying to sell these things. I do find this is like just a general thing. When a brand blows up, usually you have about 2 years of good value, and then the value will go down. And that's usually the lifespan of when people buy it, when that brand blows up, to when they are donating it. And once everyone starts donating it and they move on to the next trend or the next trending brand, those values start to go down. So you really have to pay attention to that as well. Number 6 on my list is Mage. It took me forever to find this brand in the wild, and I think that's why it breaks my heart to talk about it here and to say that I'm just not grabbing it anymore. But the last 2 pieces I have found were such slow movers. I had one item that sold relatively quick that I made a decent profit on. It was a brand new with tags, I think wool cashmere blend sweater. That is like the exception to the rule. That's the material content. But I have had 2 dresses, and I think one of them I'm still sitting on. I can't get rid of it. I can't sell it, but I do have an investment into it. I would say the last year for sure, it's just been the value has been dropping in the resale market. I do think there's a bit of saturation. It's been more and more frequently found by people, where before it was kind of like that unicorn brand if you found it. Number 7 on my list, and this may cause some controversy. I know people are not going to want to hear this, but Skims. And as much as I love the brand personally to wear, I absolutely love it. It's like my most favorite bras. They're so comfortable. I think the value of it has been dropping. For resale, I think one of the issues is that there's been so many pallets, I should say, hitting whatnot, and people selling Skims. Like, you can go on probably any night of the week and join a show where they're selling Skims out of a pallet, and you can get any size, any color. Like, the selection has been amazing. And for that reason, I think there's just so much in the resale market right now. It's really hard to turn it over. So unless you're paying a couple bucks for it, which if you're buying it out of these pallet sales, you're probably not. I just find them slow movers and not getting the value that I hoped for. And this is kind of a shame on Kim, like Kim Kardashian. This is kind of a shame on her, because I feel like it's almost turning into a fast fashion brand. If you are overproducing so much that you have pallets and pallets hitting the resale market, like, this is probably one of the brands that specifically is a single brand where so much is continuously hitting the resale market. And I think they used to do kind of like seasonal drops, and now it seems like she's just doing drops every other week. It's like just staying high trend, but that also means that people aren't buying it all. Like, obviously it's not all being bought in the store, because so much of it's getting pulled off the racks and sold into liquidation. I'm kind of disappointed in how much mass production she is doing, and to me it's really starting to fall under a fast fashion brand. I don't know, I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on Skims. I'm sure there's like a mixed bag of what everyone thinks, but those are my thoughts on it. I will not pick it up for resale anymore. It's just too competitive. There's too much stuff out there, and I think the market is quite saturated. Now, here's the exception. If you find really substantial pieces or really current pieces, maybe give it a shot. For all the run-of-the-mill perfect t-shirt bra, I don't even know what all of them are, you're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna do very well. Okay, I need to stop talking about this. Skims like gets me fired up. Okay, number 8 on my list is Anthropology brands. And this doesn't include Free People. This is kind of like their house brands that are sold more specifically at the Anthropology store. I find their brands are so hit and miss. Pilcrow is definitely on my do not buy list, and same with Maeve. I just don't see the value in those unless I'm getting a really current item and it has to be substantial, like a jacket, sweater, dress. I'm probably not grabbing it. And even if I think of just Pilcrow, I'm probably not grabbing anything Pilcrow. I just don't see the turnover of it, and I don't get the return on investment on those ones. And it's just a really saturated market. It's another kind of house brands that I think are being overproduced and maybe not sold enough. The exception to this is looking for more substantial pieces. Otherwise, they're no-go brands for me in 2024. Number 9 on my list, and this has been probably the last 2 years, but I think it just needs to be said out loud. It is Gymshark. This is one of those brands that I do not buy. I pass it all the time. They have it marked at like $10 to $15 at my thrift stores, and the resale is like $30 on a pair of pants. Like, the value has really dropped on them, which is disappointing because I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, they held really good value. If you found Gymshark, you were like, this is money. Not anymore. Now, if my cost of goods was like $2 or $3, I think I would be grabbing them, but it just doesn't work with the business model that I'm running right now. So Gymshark, not sad, but I ain't grabbing you anymore. And then the last on my list, this used to be one of my go-to brands. This used to be a bread and butter brand for me, and I'm so sad that it just doesn't bring me the value that it used to, but it is Eddie Bauer. I loved grabbing Eddie Bauer. My heart would skip a beat. I would be so excited. I would check the material content. It's always like great substantial pieces, and they used to sell really quick and for decent profits for me. Not anymore. This is the only brand, actually, like, I guess I blamed live shows for Skims, but this would be another brand that I'm maybe going to blame live shows on the drop in the value. And I think it's a really common and easy brand to come across, often sold in live shows and sold for much less value than what I want to sell it for. So for that reason, I've really stepped away from Eddie Bauer. I don't grab it often, and the only time I'm grabbing it, if it's a jacket and it's a down-filled, or like a substantial sweater that's a knit that has a wool blend, or something that sets it apart. You know, it has to have a couple factors that set it apart, and very, very selective with it. These are the brands that I am staying away from in 2024. They are not set in stone. Obviously, there's exceptions to all these rules, but I hope you are double checking. If these are brands that you have just been grabbing when you're out and not checking comps, these are brands I really recommend checking making comps on before you pick them up. All right, guys, I want to hear what are on your brands that you are no longer grabbing. Drop a couple brands below. What do you notice? Why aren't you grabbing them anymore? What have you noticed in your past sales? And I can't wait to hear which brands you guys aren't picking up, and maybe some to add to my mental list. So when I'm out, I make sure I comp search those and confirm whether it's worth picking them up or not. Okay. I'm going to let you guys go. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed to my channel. I'm sending you guys so many sales, lots of magic fingers, and I will see you next time. Bye.